Hello, everyone, and welcome to CETI 2020. We're so glad that you could join us this afternoon for today's session. It's called Boost Enrollments with Alternative Financing, presented by Tracey Hildreth and Laura Fitzpatrick of Climb Credit. I'm Joe Perez, I'm your host this afternoon, and we've held the Continuing Education Training Institute for a number of years now. Typically, we do it at a hotel venue, but as you can understand, this year we're coming to you virtually. That said, I'd like to show you our sponsor page, as you see here on your screen. This year, CETI has more than 2,500 registrants. And it's because of the generous support of the amazing sponsors that you see on this screen and that you saw in the video that we're able to host this conference and provide it to you totally free of charge. Now, we hope you've enjoyed the videos you just saw, and we encourage you to visit their web pages at your convenience. All right, before we jump in, I'd like to go over just a little bit of housekeeping here. This Continuing Education Training Institute session is being recorded, and as such, we're going to make a link to this recording along with links to the PDFs of the presentation available to everyone who attends after the conference is over. Excuse me. Now, when you join the session, you as an attendee will be muted automatically. Now, I'm sure you'll have questions for Tracey and Laura, so we ask that you please use the Q&A box located on the lower navigation bar. And that way you can type out your questions and we will get to your questions at the end of the session. Now, if we end up running out of time and your question wasn't answered at the time, don't sweat it. We'll make sure we get any unanswered questions to your presenters, and then they will answer these questions. Now, when we send out the links to the recording and all the other materials, we'll make sure we include those questions and the answers that they provide as well. So you will definitely get all your questions answered. And finally, if you like to post things to social media, we definitely encourage you to do that. Okay, so just be sure to use our hashtag. And it's hashtag CETI, that's C-E-T-I, CETI 2020, CETI 2020. And if you're on LinkedIn, we also encourage you to join the CETI alumni group on that platform. All right, so without any further ado, I'd like to introduce you to your presenters for this session, Tracey Hildreth and Laura Fitzpatrick. First of all, Tracey. Tracey currently serves as a sales manager at Climb Credit. She joined the company in the fall of 2018 and brings with her many years of school relationships experience in higher education. Now, Tracey's known as a road warrior, and she'll be attending many conferences, both in person and virtual ones this year in our sector. And then we're also joined by Laura Fitzpatrick. Laura currently serves as the Director of Marketing at Climb Credit and has more than 5 years of experience working in financial services. In her time at Climb Credit, she's worked with dozens of career training programs in various career paths. She helps them to reduce enrollment drop-off by offering financial solutions and financial education. All right, well, folks, we're so glad you could join us. And now we'll turn it over to Laura for Boost Enrollments with Alternative Financing.
Thank you so much for that introduction. We're so excited to be here. Thank you guys all for having us. So our agenda today, we ended up adjusting a little bit because of everything that's going on, particularly around COVID-19 and how it's disrupting higher education. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and also discuss where there are opportunities for everyone here to adjust curriculum in an appropriate way for students at this time. Then we're also going to discuss the role of financing in the enrollment funnel and providing equity and access to those who are in need of reskilling right now. Before we jump in, I do want to let you guys know that we are also going to make this interactive. So don't be surprised if you see some trivia questions pop up in poll form throughout the presentation, and also some survey questions so that we can understand if everyone's seeing the same trends all the way across the country. And Tracey was going to jump in and discuss kind of the problems that we're seeing right now.
Hi, Laura. Thanks everyone so much for joining us today. We're thrilled to be here as a part of the CETI conference. just a little side note, I want to wish Laura a happy birthday today.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, Laura, and many, many more. So as we know, the COVID-19 crisis has really been a devastating 3 or 4 month period that we're going with our country right now. The unemployment rates have skyrocketed. Students now are trying to find a path forward for what they're going to do next. Where the unemployment is in the suburbs, the unemployment is in the cities. It's something that in our sector, we can help correct and correct quickly. So what we really want to do is provide you guys the knowledge that you need today in the schools that you work with to really provide these shorter course certificate-based programs that are going to lead to a quick career change for the students and the learners currently that really require our need, our help and our assistance.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have our first trivia question here, Tracey.
Of those who are unemployed, what percentage say they will need reskilling to re-enter the workforce at a similar salary?
All right, so if you guys all want to go ahead and add in your answer, we'll give everyone a couple minutes. All right, let's see what everybody thought that the answer was. All right, so the majority of people think 70%. The answer is, drum roll.
Drum roll, Laura. 34%. So 34% of the population out there, which is our focus group, needs some form of reskilling to earn exactly the same salary that they were earning before. So this is a wide open arena for us to reskill students that could possibly earn more than they were earning before with the type of courses your schools provide. The students are struggling financially now. That's where Climb is a perfect partnership with your schools to make sure that these underserved students are given the financial opportunity to fulfill their next step in life.
Yeah, absolutely. And the one thing that we also want to think about with this statistic is that this is showcasing the people who were previously in the workforce already, right? These are people who are newly unemployed and believe they're going to need new skills to re-enter the workforce. So this is a population that maybe already has a financial history, they're career switchers, they're a little bit later in their career, and they're probably looking for something accelerated to get to that next stage at this point. So that's what brings us into kind of the theme of all of this, is that right now there's going to be a serious need for accelerated career training. And what that means, and what we want to focus in on here, is that the 4-year programs that people are kind of used to when they think about traditional college and traditional learning aren't necessarily going to be the ones that people are looking toward right now. The ones that people are looking toward right now are going to be possibly non-credit programs, short-term certificates, things that can get them the skills that they need quickly so that they can re-enter the workforce and get the salary they need and kind of move on to the next chapter of their life.
The need really is now, Laura, especially with the schools that we're presenting to today. It is so important right now for you to kind of listen to what the students are saying, to realize the potential of these students moving forward with a shorter course, quicker re-entry into the workforce to help them kind of move forward from the situation that the students are in currently. Mm-hmm. We've seen a tremendous amount of students that are really eager to start a new profession.
Yeah, absolutely. And these are just some of the needs, and then there are a couple more trends that we've also seen, which we'll go into with these next trivia questions.
What percentage of people lost some form of income due to COVID? And you guys can choose, what percentage of people do you think lost some form of their income?
And all of these numbers are pretty significant, but let's see what everybody thinks that the answer is. All right, so most people think that the answer is 55%, followed by 45% is the next answer. Drum roll. The answer is 55%. You guys are right. So this is a massive number, obviously, and it calls out another trend, right? Of not only have people are people recognizing that they're going to need reskilling to re-enter the workforce, but a lot of the same people and everyone across the nation has lost some form of income right now. So they're really being considerate about large purchases and really being considerate about what they're going to get for their money on anything that they're investing in right now.
Yeah, I mean, the 55%, Laura, is a staggering number. And that's what really is the huge opportunity for our partner schools and our learners to get reskilled at an affordable price where more students are getting approved for the loans to help them better themselves for the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And then that brings us to our next trivia question.
Even before COVID-19, what was the #1 factor that students considered when choosing an education program? We're going to put up the
poll for everyone.
Yeah. And I think that you guys are all going to be on the same page when you see what the number is.
All right, so the options are cost and financing, location, school reputation, or career services. And obviously all of these things are very important factors in any decision, particularly now. But what do you guys think was the #1 factor that students were considering when they were choosing their education program?
The drum roll.
Let's see what people think.
I think you all know. There you go. Yeah.
Was not a shocking one.
Cost and finances. Laura and I talk to students every day. We talk to schools every day. And that's kind of what the number is. About 90% of students say that the cost of the program or the cost of the college or the cost of the trade school that they went to was a huge deciding factor for them when choosing a school. Once choosing a school with the cost, it's now how are we going to pay for it? That's where Climb partners with schools to help the student have affordable monthly payments so they can get the education that they desire.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you think of all of this like compounding on itself now, people are being more considerate about these choices, more considerate about where they're investing their money. And even before all of this, it was already a huge factor. So I'm just going to talk through this, but it's stuff that I'm sure that everyone already knows. Financing and cost are huge reasons for enrollment drop-off in the funnel. So at the top of the funnel, it's a top factor when people are deciding which program. So comparing two programs, payment options and financing and overall cost is a huge factor for people's decision. In the middle of the funnel, we found that nearly 70% of students would either wait to attend or not attend a program that didn't have student financing options. So it's, I mean, again, all of you already know this, but it is just a huge, huge barrier to enrollment if simple financing or simple payment options are not available to students, because it's just difficult to fathom how you're going to pay for an investment like this. And this trend actually goes all the way throughout. If you think about the funnel extending through the program, all the way through to completion. So we know that 31% of dropouts are due to affordability of tuition fees. So financing and cost is something that was important. All of these stats are pre-COVID, by the way. So this is something that was important before everything happened. And now with the unemployment and the landscape and the way that people are making considerations in large purchases like this, we know that easy payment options is just even more important. And I know, Tracey, you've heard specifically from schools things just like that.
I mean, I talk to schools every day, and the struggle for the schools to enroll students and the struggle for students to stay in school or to enroll in school, 90% of the time is financing. And that's where a partnership with Climb, that we're going to really take care of all of the schools and the students' financial needs is important, especially at this time. We're a mission-based company. We want to serve all students, especially students that have been underserved in the past. We believe that everybody should have the opportunity to get the knowledge and the skills and the learning that they need to move forward and have a prosperous life. So we are partnering with schools that have shown high graduation rates, placement rates, a lot of great reviews from the students with the learning that they are getting. And those are the schools that we want to partner with. So those are the students that we want to help and make sure that you guys grow your businesses, graduate tons of more students that are going to have successful careers moving forward.
Absolutely. That's the goal for everybody, right? Is to make sure that the students are actually successful with their endeavors into their new career. And so another trend that we've been seeing, Tracey was just scratching the surface of this right before this, but another trend that we've been seeing is that schools in our network had actually seen an increase in interest in their programs at the top of the funnel, you know, people taking free courses or visiting the website, but a decrease in overall conversion. So this isn't a trivia question, but we'd love to do a quick survey to just see if this is a trend that you all have seen as well. Has there been an increase in interest, but a decrease in actually moving forward into enrolling in the programs?
And this is so highly important with the learners that we're working with now.
Yeah, definitely, because people are like we've been saying, you know, it's just such a high consideration purchase to invest in an education, and people want to be educated and ensure that they're actually getting what they want out of the program. So let's see what the results are, if people have been seeing the same trend. Okay, interesting. So it seems like 50-50. Interesting.
So about half of the students that want to come to school are not kind of pulling the trigger, and we need to know why. Is it for finances? Is it for time? Is it for they don't know what new industry or continue with the industry that they're in right now? So this is where we really need to find out what's blocking the students from moving forward. Most blockers that we have seen with the schools that we're speaking with is the financial part of it, that the students are kind of afraid. Oh, you want to? Oh, yeah,
no, it's great. That's exactly right, though. That's what we've been seeing, but we want to hear from everybody.
Yeah, we want to see what you guys are hearing from students on kind of why they're not pulling the trigger, they're not enrolling, they're not joining the next class. There could be a couple of things here that could be very, very important for us to discuss.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we'd love to hear specifically, since the emergence of COVID, which of these factors has been most important from everyone. And let's take a look at the results.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
Well, we have our work cut out for us of all the problems we need to solve.
We do have our work cut out for us. You know what? It is a little bit of everything with students right now. The only thing that it's really interesting is that there's no kind of time. Students have time on their hands, and I think that they really do want to use the time that they're home wisely, especially with courses that are online. It could be virtual, it could be self-paced courses. If they were to find a course in a field that they were interested in, and what we're seeing with a lot of students now, Laura, I think you could attest to this as well, that a lot of students want to get into healthcare now. They really feel it's their obligation and they want to give back a little bit. So we're seeing that healthcare, all the courses that are provided in healthcare are very, very top of mind with students when they're looking at a new career and a new course to take. A lot of the courses in healthcare are shorter. They can start with shorter programs and then kind of continue their education while they're working. We all know that there's a tremendous need for more healthcare workers. So students that were working in a different field before may really benefit from starting a new career in healthcare. We're also seeing truck driving, IT, things that are quick, and courses that a student is going to see kind of instant employment.
Agreed. Yeah, that's exactly how I was going to follow up on that, where it is healthcare, definitely, but we've also been seeing a lot of those kind of economically resilient career paths. Like Tracey mentioned, the HVAC, truck driving, heavy equipment operations, healthcare, technology, of course, is a huge one that people are interested in. Pretty much anything that's going to be resilient throughout this. But we did want to ask one more question too, to survey everyone, which is specifically about career services and career outcomes, and whether or not those have become more important factors in the admissions conversations. This is something that we've seen somewhat across the schools that we're working with, that, you know, while cost and financing is of course a top of mind topic that people are discussing in admissions conversations, it is really about, what is this course going to get me ultimately, right? Like, where am I going to be able to go after this? And how are you going to support me to get there? So I'd love to see just across this network if that's the same kind of trends that you all have been seeing. Let's see the results.
Yeah, it's a big number. And I think that's kind of what Laura and I have been saying. What we're hearing and what we're seeing from students, they want that shorter course with almost kind of a guaranteed outcome that they are going to be placed in a new career quickly. I think the days of the four-year traditional colleges right now are still going to be for some students. There's a huge part of the world right now that would like the shorter courses. We have a lot of career changers, a lot of people that have retired from one profession going to the next, a lot of students that are younger and kind of want to dip their toe into an industry, but don't know if they want to go all in with a four-year degree. So taking some of these shorter certificate career-based courses are really a wise decision for these students right now. And the financial commitment isn't so overwhelming for them in the current situation. We've seen a ton of students that start with a smaller course in a particular industry and then take courses every 6 months, every year, and progress along and increase their salaries along the way while they're working.
Right, exactly. Those bite-sized chunks, being able to just take it piece by piece. Exactly. Yeah. And so even with these courses though, even though, as Tracey mentioned, they are oftentimes much more affordable than, say, a four-year degree, it is still a pretty significant purchase for people. And it has to be, right? You have to pay for the instructors and all the training materials. So it's not necessarily about the cost, but it is about the options of being able to pay for that. And whether it's a payment plan or offering financing options that go beyond the length of the program, maybe like a couple years, depending on the cost, it just makes it so much easier for people to decide to attend the program, actually contact the school, actually enroll, and then finally complete the program because they do have that affordability baked in. So even with these low-cost programs, and we know that some of them, specifically the non-credit programs, aren't necessarily eligible for Title IV or other federal funding, it is important to create options for students, whether you're doing it in-house or or using a vendor or a partner like Climb to do so.
Yeah.
That is important.
Yeah, and a lot of times continuing education at colleges was something that was kind of on the back burner. This is a way to really put continuing education at your schools at the forefront, that you guys are able to fill courses, you're able to engage with students, you're able to have them refer their friends because of the quick outcomes that they're getting. That's going to make them job ready and hired immediately.
Yeah, absolutely. And in the same vein, financing is also something that can increase the access, equity, and like diversity of the student base, because, you know, oftentimes people who don't have access to financial options need something that they can pay over time, right? If you don't have a couple $1,000s sitting in the bank, it's going to be very, very difficult to make that purchase and to move forward if you don't have payment options. So I think we have this is our last trivia question. So this one, Tracey, if you want to take it away.
Sure. What percentage of Climb students stated that they would not have been able to attend school without Climb's financing? The drum roll.
We'll do the poll, let everybody guess a little bit. But this is just to showcase really the importance of access and equity and including a financing program that is longer than the length of the actual program. Because we all know that there are maybe internal payment plans or installments where you can break up payments and offer students options like that. But there really is a huge group of students and huge group of learners that need something that's longer term with smaller monthly payments that they can actually make each month without falling behind. So let's see what everybody thinks. 27, 38, 61, or 74. All right, so the majority of people think 74%. And the answer is 74%. Very good.
Yeah, and again, that's a huge number, Laura. 74% of students that took a course at a school that Climb partners with and got a Climb loan would not have been able to attend that program without our funding. We're not like traditional lenders with a student that needs a 750 credit score and a co-borrower. We lend to a broad base of students. We do not underwrite the loan for who they are today. We underwrite the loan for who your student is going to be tomorrow after they graduate from your program. So just picture your classroom, picture your enrollments with 74% of more learners in seats. This is an opportunity for us to take your schools, your courses, the community around your area, and really help them move forward in a positive manner and able to afford it at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see this in some of the demographics. So Tracey just kind of hit the nail on the head just now, but one thing that I want to make sure that we reiterate is, especially in this time where so many people are unemployed or underemployed, Climb loans, the way that we have set them up, and many other financing options that are out there, like payment plans perhaps in-house, which require your management but could still do this, are available for people who are unemployed, right? So it's pretty rare to find a lending tool that can allow people to make payments throughout the duration past their program for a few years that is allowing people who are unemployed to get loans. And the reason that we do this is because we focus so much on the types of schools that we work with to ensure that the career training aspect is strong and that students are getting strong outcomes. And so we believe in the outcomes they're going to get. And as Tracey called out before, we're able to look at what we expect their salary to be after the program and give them a loan based on that. And so that's a huge help for people right now who have no income to their name and really just need skills to get back into the job market.
Yeah, for sure, Laura. What we're doing is really opening up the ability to get retrained and to go to school for the huge majority of the population. And that's kind of our focus, our mission. We hope it's the mission of our schools as well. And that's why the partnership is to get these certificate programs, continuing education programs, career and trade schools filled to the maximum with students that can enter the workforce immediately, and better themselves and better their lives.
Exactly. Exactly. And so that goes into what we like to call incentive-aligned financing, which is a win-win for schools and students. And the first part of this is what Tracey was talking about, where we take a look at every single program that we work with in the Climb Network and just make sure that it's basically leading to real career training that's going to get students job skills for the career that they're going to get after the program. Because ultimately that's what we want, right? We want every student that we work with to be successful, to get a job, and ultimately to be able to pay back their loan. It's good for everyone in the ecosystem if we can all get the students jobs. And the one trend that we talked about earlier that this is actually hugely beneficial for is the fact that students want to know that the schools that they're going to actually do have good career outcomes, right? All of you said that career services is part of the conversation. And so by being part of the Climb Network, what we do with all of our schools that are in the Climb Network is that we give them a badge and showcase that they're verified by a third party, that they do provide good career outcomes. So this is just another kind of add-on that you get just to showcase to students that, yes, this is a career advancing program that's going to get you to the next step in your life.
Yeah, and being in the Climb Network and a Climb partner, we co-market, co-brand. We have a huge support network for all of your students and you as schools. We have an office in Las Vegas that a bunch of superstar rock stars work at, and that's our student success team. They will walk your student through the Climb process. It's quick, it's simple. The application is less than 5 minutes. They get an instant answer. There's no waiting for your students. Our team in Vegas will help them with everything that they need until all the documents are signed and the student is enrolled in school. This is going to be a huge time saver for you at this school, that you guys are truly going to be the educators and let us take care of all the financing options and needs for your students. We don't want to leave the schools behind. So in our New York office, we have a partner success team that is there to help all of our schools. So there's a dedicated team there that's available to you as a school personnel, that you can reach out to us anytime. You want to add courses, drop courses, you want more products, you want to ask a quick question about a student. So we're kind of full service. So what we're also trying to do is take the burden off of you at the school, put it on Climb, and we'll take care of all of your students and all of your employees to make it a really, really pleasant experience for all of you.
Definitely, yeah. And one thing I do want to also just say about the Vegas team, and this is for if you're evaluating any partner, by the way. So any partner that you're looking at as a financing partner, understanding how the student success team or how the operations team and customer service team interacts with students is very, very important with a financing tool. And so our student success team has a credit counselor who is a certified credit counselor who can talk people through payment options and what it's going to do to their credit score, what it's going to do to their financials overall. And we also create a bunch of career resources. So especially right now, where we know that career resources are so important, it's just really important that whoever you do end up working with as a financing partner and whoever you end up like bringing on board as your vendor has a customer service team that's enabled with actual strong information to be able to help students make decisions like this, because it is a huge decision, and you just want to make sure that you're directing people in the right direction ultimately.
Yeah, for sure, Laura.
And then there's the actual financing instrument, which Tracey will go into as well.
Yeah, so I think all of us know that we want to enroll, we want to give availability to all students. So not every student is going to have prime or near prime credit. It's really interesting to see also how many students are kind of on their own and don't have a co-borrower that can sign a document along with the student.
Yeah.
So what we're seeing is a lot of students that have applied for traditional lending are denied. Once a student is denied, they kind of lose interest, they feel badly, and you never hear from them again. We are so proud that we are able to approve a vast majority of your students. Again, what Laura and I have kind of been talking about the entire presentation is that we do not underwrite the loan for who that student is today. That student is going to be who they are tomorrow after they've graduated from your course. We have a team in our New York office that really calculates what the student's salary is going to be after completion of your course. We make sure that we keep their monthly payments under a certain debt to income, so the affordability factor is there for your students. We want your students to be able to have an apartment, drive a car, eat a meal, and be able to afford their tuition payments. A lot of students that want to go to school so badly and want to kind of better themselves would sign up for a loan that the payments were too high, and we're setting them up not to be successful. So really our goal and our model is to make sure that we get your students signed up from day one, that they're going to be a tremendous success with this loan, which is going to help them, and it's going to help you as a school as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I want to just also call out, specifically going back to that number that we saw at the beginning of the presentation, of 34% of people think they're going to need reskilling to re-enter the workforce. Now, those people, these aren't your average, 18-year-old students, right? These are career switchers. They are in the middle of their careers. And so having an option where it doesn't require a co-borrower is actually a huge, huge deal with this population specifically. So I just want to call that out.
And it's surprising, Laura, how many students actually don't have a co-borrower and
are
able to get one. And this is a way for them to kind of do it on their own.
Yeah, absolutely. And then this is what it's all about, right? This is what we've been kind of hammering in on, the ultimate goal for, I know everyone on this call, this is the goal, and for all of us at Climb, is that we want to see students who are successful. We want to see them change their life with some kind of career training and just jump into that next phase doing better than they were before.
Absolutely. And if you guys have a chance, I'd really love you to go to our Climb website, look at the student reviews, look at what they're saying about our awesome Vegas team, look at what they're saying about the schools that we partner with and the opportunity that they were able to receive with financing in order to change their career.
Some heartwarming content for you.
It really does.
But ultimately also, of course, we want to talk about what this means for schools, right? We want to see what it means for enrollment and what it means for revenue. And so we have a handy dandy case study that Tracey is going to walk you through.
Yeah, I mean, what we're finding right now is 1 out of every 3 students that is going to apply for one of your programs has been declined by another lender. So again, what Laura and I have kind of been honing in on in the call is that we do approve a larger majority of the students. So what we're seeing in case studies with continuing education programs that we work with right now, that by partnering with Climb, by having this financing in place for your students, they have increased their enrollment about 20%. So it's a huge number, especially for continuing education courses at community colleges. This is where you working in those fields and those courses can really hone in on enrollment, increase enrollment, and make it a profitable addition to your colleges.
Yeah, and this is specifically something for, we know that the programs that get Title IV financing, obviously students are able to access most of the time, right? Most of the time those ones are able to access, but the non-credit programs, these accelerated career training certificates that people are actually looking at right now to try to take that next step, those ones still do need these financial options. And those are the programs that have the opportunity to grow right now immensely during this time.
Correct.
And Tracey, I know you talked a little bit about our fabulous team.
Our fabulous team, our fabulous school experience, how accessible we are to you. how we take the burden off of your hands with collecting any of the students' payments. We have partners that work with us. We work directly with your students. We really pride ourselves, and I know it's really important to schools, that your students are going to be handled with white gloves. They're going to get top-notch service from us. We have the internal Klein team in place. We work with different servicers that work with your students, University Accounting Services and Loan Science, that take the payment and the collections for us. We have accessibility to your students. We have accessibility to your schools. It's just an easier way to do business when you have somebody that's taking this financial burden off of you at the school, really lending yourselves to be more available to your learners, and we kind of start and finish the process with your students.
Exactly. And one thing just to add, because I know we always get this question, or often get this question, I should say, from continuing education partners, is that there's concerns about maybe not being sure if they can work with a private lender. And so we specifically partnered with ProTrain. So ProTrain can be the lender for all of the courses that they offer through your schools. And we can be the lender through ProTrain for that. So if you are using ProTrain courses, you can leverage Climb loans for those courses as well. And then that way it's not directly tied to the financial aid in that department. But I did want to just call that out because it is kind of a huge benefit and maybe might help with some of the hurdles that we've heard about before.
Hi, and Laura, this is Betty, CEO of ProTrain, and I've been thoroughly enjoying the conversation today. And I would not have interjected unless you had made that statement. There are many schools that we work with, and I know all school partners have the choice of working with any or no partners whatsoever. If you do work with a third-party provider, find out if they do work with a loan provider such as Klein, which we're very privileged to work with, and find out if your third-party provider will bear the burden of working and taking care of the student for you. Because we do have some schools that say, our accounting department would not allow us to work with loan programs. Well, that's fine. Well, if you have a contract with a third-party provider, and if the third-party provider is working with the loan program, then you're really not, are you? You're working with a third-party provider that's doing that. Think out of the box, people. think how can you make what you want to make happen for your students? If you are told you cannot work with loan programs, things of that nature, do the people that you work with, can they do that? Now is the time to make sure that we try to make the success for our students. Thank you, Laura. I just wanted to point that out. And it doesn't matter whether it's ProTrain, it doesn't matter what third-party provider you're working with, just ask the question.
That was a great point. Thank you, Betty, for pointing that out.
Yeah, we owe it to our students right now. We owe it to them to get them the financing options that they need to take these courses.
Yeah, definitely. But with that, we have availability for Q&A. So if you guys want to go ahead and add any questions to the chat box or to Q&A, I think Joe is going to help us moderate through those, unless I'm mistaken.
You are correct, Laura.
Awesome.
All right. Okay, so let's take a look at the questions that have come in so far. In the chat box, a couple of comments have come in. First of all, Laura Zolikoffer, I hope I'm saying the name correctly. She wishes Laura Fitzpatrick. She says, "Happy birthday, Laura," from another Laura. How about that? Her
I
name's
hope all
Laura.
the questions are softballs like
yeah,
that.
Isn't it great? Right. She says, "I wish you many more."
Thank you.
All right, sure.
Very nice.
And then Linda Kurokawa had a comment talking about, she says, "It is really not knowing what the future holds." And I believe that was a comment about one of the points that y'all had made earlier in the presentation.
God, that might be a reason why students are being more considerate of the programs they're taking right now is one of the top concerns from students. I think we had a question about that. And I was hoping that people would put some little extras in the chat box for us. So thank you.
Exactly. Sure. And that was it. Another one from EBYE. This one says, most folks that I've talked to have given up and they're trying to regroup on what's important.
Yeah.
And they go on to say a time to reflect.
Yeah, taking time off. And that's what Tracey mentioned that she had been seeing as well, is that people have time on their hands and they're trying to figure out what to do with it.
I think there's a lot of like soul searching on what the next step is for everyone, especially students or especially those folks out there that may have lost their job or suffered a tragedy recently with kind of the current times. But it is a little soul searching. That's why when I was talking about before about the allied health, that is such a in-demand market right now, because I think people want to give back. I think people want to help the way people that they know have been helped during this crisis.
All right, very good. Let's see. There have been a couple of other questions that have come in. There's some that have some answers. The next question comes from Roxanne Badia. How can the university become a climb provider?
Yeah, so that's a great question. The first step would actually to get in touch with Tracey Hildreth here, and she'll walk you through the process. I can give super high level if that's okay with you, Tracey.
Oh, absolutely.
Cool. So yeah, there are just a couple steps. So first, like we mentioned in the presentation, the first thing that we do is selectively look at which programs under the university are specific toward career training. Because ultimately that is our mission, is to give people access to career training programs. So we typically only work with those ones. We can work with some programs at a university and not all. We actually do this with a continuing ed department that we work with. We work with, I'd say, like 60 or 70% of their programs, but not 100% for that reason. And then we just get into a financial agreement about what kinds of loan terms you want to offer to your students. So depending on the price of your program, how long those should be, right? It could be anywhere as low as a year for some programs if they're really cheap, all the way up to 3 to 5 to 7 years, depending on how expensive, to make the monthly payments reasonable for students to be able to pay off, given the money that they'll be making after your program. And then we just basically look at what level of access you want to provide. So as Tracey was mentioning, we have a unique system where we can provide access to people all the way down the credit spectrum. Now, the way that works is that there's a different financial agreement depending on how low down the credit spectrum you want to go, and that will be customized with your school. So that's just something that we'd have to talk through after going through that process of looking at your programs.
Yeah, and it's not just student loans. We're a whole financial company that is going to help you with your needs, whether we're doing payment plans with the student, loans with the student. Everything is geared toward the schools and the student success.
Exactly. Thank you for that. Yeah.
All right.
Good addition.
All right. Very good. So Laura asks, what is the range in interest rates that you charge students?
Yeah.
The interest rate range is anywhere from 6.99 to 13.99. Depending on the credit of the student and the length of time that the loan goes out for. I think that most of the programs that we're talking about today are going to be on that shorter end. So the interest rates start at 6.99, which is really, really competitive and really lower than our competition.
Yeah, one thing just to say with that, I think a lot of times in higher education, particularly universities and community colleges, are used to interest rates from the federal government in Title IV. But these programs that are non-credit, basically the other options for students are oftentimes credit cards, which are insanely high interest rates, as I think everybody here probably knows, in like the double digits. So these rates are definitely competitive. And as Tracey noted, since they're typically less expensive programs and can be shorter duration, the interest doesn't have to accrue for 4 years, right? So it can get paid off very quickly, which is why the affordability factor is still there with those rates.
Okay, very good. Let's see. John Kressler asks, I'm working with someone now who wants financing for a Lean Sigma course we offer. What's the process?
I think it might be the same answer as the other one.
Right,
Yeah,
working with the university.
Yeah, we would partner with the school. We would kind of diligence with you and climb on which programs that you would like us to finance. And your student could just simply go on our website through our link, your link, choose your course at your school and apply for the financing. The really easy and nice part of this also for you as schools is the Climb portal. So everything is live time that you can view on your portal. So you'll see exactly what is going on and what step in the process your student is live. So you'll know if students have been applying overnight. We also have a Climb Discovery platform that you may not even have met a student. They come to you through our platform with interest in a course that you're providing at your school. So they would put in a course name or location. Your application will appear and you'll see that student in your Climb portal and they've been approved for the loan. Then you reach out to them, get them into your admissions department, and everything's all set for you to go. So the process with Climb and onboarding a new school is probably about 30 days from start to finish. Once that happens, you'll get complete training from our team at Climb. You'll have the pleasure of working with our Vegas team to help your students. And we're gonna kind of get you set up to enroll students. We'll have all the different dates of your courses, if it's self-paced online, if it's classroom, so your students will be able to choose. What we also do for your students, because I really believe, and I know Laura agrees with me, it's not a one size fits all on every student. So there'll be different payment options per course. So a student can really choose what they feel most comfortable with. Again, we're gonna all have it under that debt to income, that's the target for us, but we're gonna give students, let's say for a 3 or 4 or 6 month course, 12, 18, 24 months to pay it back. You know, we wanna make sure that the student is able to afford their other bills as well as make sure they're paying their Climb loan on time. So it's a quick and simple process, but I'd love to chat with you about it. And the paperwork that you guys would provide is very, very quick, very simple. And I think you'll be glad you did.
Definitely. And the student process, as Tracey just alluded to, is it's a 5-minute totally online application. 90% of students get a decision as soon as they submit the application. So it says approved or denied right there.
All right. Very good. Okay, let's see. Roxanne asks, is there a profit share fee with Climb and partner schools? And if so, does it vary?
That's a great question. So there is not a profit share fee with Climb. We do have, the way that our structure works is that we advance part of the tuition depending on the student's FICO score. We advance part of the tuition as soon as they enroll, and then the school earns the remainder of the tuition as the student pays back their loan. So depending on FICO score, it could be anywhere from 90 at the top FICO score down to maybe like 40 or 50 in the lower end. And then basically you will get that percent of the tuition at enrollment, and then the remainder as the student pays back their loan. So it's not a profit share. We make our money off of a fee, a small fee that's paid over time from the student, and there's no profit share with your school.
Yeah, and just a little bit about the fee that's paid over time by the student, Laura. That's an origination fee for a loan. Mm-hmm. So it's based on the state where the student resides. So with online courses, a student may be living with their aunt in California, but actually have their home address in New York. So it is an origination fee. Mm-hmm. It is between 1% and 5% of the amount of the loan, dependent on the state where the student has their home address. Mm-hmm. That is paid by the student monthly within their tuition payment. So it's the principal, the interest, plus our fee. So with your students, it could be the $4.12 per month, $6.02. That's how Climb makes their money on the origination fee built into the loan of the student. So there is no cost to the school.
Yep.
Okay. Let's see, another question. Do students pay, well, I think you kind of answered this. Do students pay while they are in the training program?
They'll have an option. So if it's a part-time program, the students are going to pay principal and interest from the get-go. If it's a full-time program, students are going to have the option, again, when I was talking about before, they'll have an option of an interest-only period while in school, and we kind of extend that 3 months after graduation, and then principal and interest would kick in. Or because we make it so affordable, most students are choosing to pay the principal and interest right away to kind of shorten the duration of the loan. So that's another thing that we partner with the school. We'll do a loan detail. We'll work on it together for you guys to really get a very good view on what your students are going to view on our portal and the different options that we give them to pay.
Yeah, and students, if they want to pay anytime, there's no fee to them. We don't have a prepayment penalty fee or anything. So if a student decides after they graduate that they got a job right away and they want to pay off their loan the day after graduation, they can do that with no penalties.
All right, very good. Okay, let's see. Any other questions that y'all have, please be sure to type them in the Q&A box. Looking at some of the comments, several comments that are saying things like they appreciate what you've done and the information that that you have shared. Someone who said that as a career coach says many graduating seniors are lost as to what to do, and that this was very interesting. And expressing appreciation. All right, we have another question. Who's another attendee who's asking, have you found that students desiring to attend a TESOL program would go this route?
I think I need that defined, unless you know what that is, Tracy.
I don't.
They're using an acronym, TESOL. The anonymous attendee could, yeah. Or, yeah, Google is your friend.
There we go.
Google is our friend.
Teaching English as a second language.
English as a second language.
I was thinking ESL is English as a second language, so yeah. All right, that's what it is. Thank you for clarifying that.
Yes, thank you. So I would say, so there's a couple things. Climb right now works only in the United States. So in the case that there was any international student that was residing internationally, then that would probably not be somebody who would be able to get a Climb loan. And then if there's somebody who's residing in the United States and that program was a program that we worked with, then they would be eligible. But I don't think that we actually have any programs like that currently in the Climb network. Tracy, unless you know of one that I don't.
No, I know that there's a lot of English as second language courses out there. We do not partner with any currently. If the student were a foreign student and had a U.S. co-borrower, that would be a loan that we would be able to fund as long as they had a U.S. co-borrower. But that's a vertical that we could for sure look into kind of working with in the future.
Yeah, thank you for the question. We don't have much experience there, unfortunately.
All right, very good. Let's see. I don't see any more questions at the moment. Again, comments about how much they enjoyed your presentation and how much they appreciate you providing this information is extremely useful, especially in the day and time that we're in at present. So.
Great. Well, we're glad to hear it. And if there are any other questions, feel free to email Tracy. As you can see, she knows it all. So you can feel free
very
to
knowledgeable.
Connect with her.
Laura.
But we really appreciate it. We had a great time, and we hope you all enjoyed the presentation, and hopefully we'll get to speak with you soon.
Yeah, and thanks very much for sharing your time with us. And again, happy birthday, Miss Laura.
Thank you.
Yes, very much so. Happy birthday, Laura. We appreciate y'all joining us for this session this afternoon. Any additional questions that you have, please be sure to direct them to either Laura or Tracey. Contact information will be provided, as well as the PDF and the materials I mentioned that will be sent to you. We'll be happy to entertain whatever other questions you have at that time. Again, we thank y'all for your time. We thank Laura and Tracey for a wonderful presentation. We trust that this has been useful to you, and wish that y'all have a wonderful rest of your afternoon.
Yep, and we hope to see you all in person at CETI next year.
Absolutely. CETI 2021. It's going to be great. All right.
Thank you.
Y'all take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye now.